You sit down to start the thing you've been putting off for weeks. Laptop open. Cursor blinking. And in 4 seconds, you're back on your phone. You didn't decide that. It just happened. But the real reason it happened is far stranger than you're lazy. Your brain made a calculation. Fast. Silent. Beneath your awareness. Effort versus comfort. And comfort won. Not because you're weak. Because you're wired. Here's the moment that matters. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not after you understand every detail of why this happens. Right now, while you're listening, your brain is already doing the exact thing this video is about to explain. So watch closely. Because by the end of this, you're going to see your own stuckness for what it actually is. And you're going to know exactly what to do about it tonight. In 2010, a researcher named Wooter-Kuhl ran a simple test. People could walk a longer path requiring no thinking, or a shorter path requiring more mental switching. Every time, they chose less thinking. Even when it cost them more time. Kuhl called this demand avoidance. Your brain doesn't just prefer rest. It actively routes around effort, the way water finds the lowest point in a landscape. That's piece 1. Here's piece 2, and it's the one that changes everything. Intelligence doesn't protect you from this. It makes it worse. A sharp mind generates reasons. Not excuses. Reasons. Logical. Well-structured. Convincing. Your brain, working hard to avoid working hard, becomes a brilliant lawyer arguing for doing nothing. Daniel Kahneman described 2 systems in your head. System 1. Fast. Automatic. System 2. Slow. Effortful. Growth lives in System 2. Comfort lives in System 1. Here's the twist. The smarter you are, the better System 1 disguises itself as System 2. It produces something that feels like deep thinking. It's really just an articulate way of staying still. Caught yourself researching a goal for the 5th week straight, instead of starting it? That's System 1 wearing a lab coat. Watch how the excuse evolves. Week 1, I don't have enough information. Week 2, the timing isn't right. Week 3, maybe this isn't even aligned with my values. Each one sounds smarter than the last. None of them are about the task. All of them are about avoiding the discomfort of starting. Notice that discomfort. Feel it right now, in whatever you've been avoiding. That feeling isn't a signal to wait. It's the exact signal you need to move through immediately, before your brain builds excuse number 4. So why does this feel like a personal failure, when it's clearly universal? Because 200,000 years ago, this wiring kept your ancestors alive. Picture an early human. Calories scarce. Every wasted movement, a withdrawal from a tiny bank account. A brain that conserved energy by default wasn't lazy. It was the difference between surviving the next famine and not. Your brain today runs on that same ancient code. It doesn't know effort no longer threatens your life. It still treats a hard project the way it once treated an unnecessary hunt. Something to avoid unless proven essential. Roy Baumeister called this ego depletion. Willpower is a resource that drains with use. Later research showed the effect is smaller than first thought. But the core insight still holds. Effort has a cost your brain tracks closely, even when you're not counting. Every time you take the easier path, your ancient brain logs a win. Energy conserved. Threat avoided. Except the threat isn't a predator anymore. It's a deadline. A hard conversation. The version of you that you're trying to become. Here's why this hits smart, capable people the hardest. A brilliant engineer can solve impossible problems at work by Tuesday, but can't start the side project they care about most. Their brain isn't confused about their ability. It's making a threat assessment. Work with a deadline registers as urgent. A personal goal with no external pressure registers as optional. And optional is exactly what gets cut first. This is why willpower alone won't fix it. You can't argue your way past a system that isn't reasoning the way you think. Telling yourself try harder tomorrow asks a 200,000-year-old survival mechanism to override itself through pure intention. That works for a day. It almost never works for a month. Here's a third study that makes this even clearer. Researchers studying decision fatigue found something strange in judges. Parole boards approved requests far more often early in the day, right after a break. By late afternoon, approval rates dropped close to zero, then jumped back up after the next rest. Same cases. Same laws. Same judges. What changed was the brain's remaining appetite for effortful decisions. If trained legal experts show this pattern under pressure, you're not broken for showing it over a blank document at 9 at night. So what actually works? This is the part you need to hear before you close this video. BJ Fogg studies exactly this. Motivation is unreliable. It rises and falls for reasons you don't control. But shrink the behavior small enough, and you don't need motivation at all. One push-up. One sentence. One email opened. Fogg's research shows tiny actions, repeated at the right moment, quietly rewire what your brain treats as the default path. The small thing becomes the easy thing. And your ancient brain will always choose easy. This is not about becoming a more disciplined person. It's about becoming a better environment designer for the person you already are. Your ancestors didn't survive by having more willpower than the predators around them. They built shelters and tools that made survival the default outcome. Do the same here. Don't fight your wiring. Shrink the task until starting barely registers as a decision at all. This is why elaborate productivity systems fail smart people. More steps. More decisions. More friction, at exactly the moment your brain is scanning for the cheapest option. The people who actually change aren't running the most complicated system. They remove the most steps between deciding and starting. Think about your last ordinary week. Monday, I'll start after dinner. Dinner ends. Dishes. Messages. Suddenly it's late and starting now would ruin your sleep. Tuesday looks the same. By Wednesday, the story shifts from timing to whether the goal was ever practical. Your brain isn't lying to you on purpose. It's protecting you from a threat that still feels real to it. Sustained effort. Uncertain reward. To a system built for scarce calories and immediate danger, an unclear long-term payoff barely counts as a reward at all. So stop comparing yourself to people who seem to move through hard things effortlessly. What you're not seeing is the architecture behind their behavior. The trigger attached to an existing habit. The task shrunk down so small it barely qualifies as effort. The friction quietly removed, again and again, until what looks like willpower is really just a well-built path of least resistance. Here's the freeing part. If staying stuck were a character flaw, the only fix would be becoming a different person. But it isn't a character flaw. It's a predictable output of ancient wiring meeting a modern world. Which means the fix isn't a personality transplant. It's a redesign. Smaller starting points. Fewer decisions in the moment effort begins. Less waiting for a feeling of readiness that was never going to arrive on its own. So right now, before you open another tab, pick the one thing you've been avoiding. Shrink it down to something almost embarrassingly small. One sentence. One push-up. One message sent. Do that one small thing in the next 60 seconds, before your brain finishes building tonight's excuse. Because tonight, when you feel that same 4-second pull toward the phone instead of the work, you'll know exactly what's happening. That isn't weakness. That's 200,000 years of efficient wiring, doing exactly what it was built to do, in a world it was never designed for. The real answer was never that you're lazy. It's that your brain is still protecting a version of you that no longer exists. And the moment you stop fighting that ancient system and start designing around it, right now, tonight, is the moment being stuck stops feeling like a character flaw, and starts feeling like a problem you already know how to solve.